If you clicked on this video, it's because you want to know the easiest way to get through airport security with little kids. And I'm also going to be throwing in the bonus of answering the question of whether TSA PreCheck is worth it for you or not. So let's jump in to that topic. As a quick overview of TSA PreCheck for those of you that clicked on this video and like, I want to know the easiest way, but what's this PreCheck you're talking about? So basically it's TSA's version of a kind of skip the line, easier line kind of program. So it does cost money, which we'll get into in just a minute, but it is really nice because when you're going through, you don't have to take your jacket off. If you have like a thick jacket, you might have to take off, but like a little like denim jacket, hoodie, you don't have to take that off. You don't have to take your shoes off. What? No nasty airport floor. And then you can also leave your laptops, your kids' tablets, all of that tucked away in the bag. You don't have to take all of that stuff out, which is really, really nice. You don't have to take your liquids out. So 2 thumbs up for that, but it is basically, it just kind of moves you through that line a little bit easier and it makes taking things out a lot simpler. Now when it comes to the cost of TSA PreCheck, it is $78 for 5 years. So if you break that cost down into each individual year, it is $15.60 per year if you fly only once. Now obviously if you're flying more than that, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, you fly a lot for business, whatever, this could definitely speed your travel along and you could be paying pennies on the dollar for your TSA PreCheck versus that whole $15.60 per year. But even for me at $15.60, when I am traveling, especially solo with my 2 little girls, I have a 3.5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old, with them, it makes it so much easier and it is so worth it because if you are a parent and have your child with you, they do not need TSA PreCheck until they're 12 years old. So you get, for that $78, for me, I get me and my 2 little girls quickly through that line. I don't have to take their tablets out. I don't have to do all of that stuff, which is a lifesaver for traveling with little kids. So if you have a family vacation coming up, you do that every year, you fly with your kids multiple times, you're going to see family, you definitely should look into TSA PreCheck and it could save you quite a bit of time in the airport, so it's definitely worth checking out. Before we continue chatting about TSA PreCheck and all of my tips for getting through security easier and faster, I did want to take a second to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Ashley, and on this channel I share tips, tricks, and hacks for taking toddlers to Disney, Disney vacation planning tips, travel tips, as well as vlogs from our adventures of our travels. So if that is content that you're into, be sure to click the red subscribe button down below and join the fam, and let's get back into those tips and chatting about TSA PreCheck. Now when it comes to the application process for TSA PreCheck, it's actually pretty simple. I expected it to be way harder, but it was a breeze, honestly. I will have a link to the website that you can start the application on, it down in the description box below, so you can get started on your application, but it is really relatively simple. All you do is put in your name, your address, it'll ask different questions about your history and life experiences, and obviously so you will have to answer all of that, but it's really, really easy. Once you finish the application process, it'll take you through to the next step, which is setting up your appointment or interview. Now when I say interview, it's not stressful. They're not going to ask you 50 questions about your life history and everything you've done in your past and like but eraser you stole back in middle school. They're not going to ask about all of that. All you're going to have to do is go into this appointment once you set it up and be able to just go over everything that you fill out on the application. They're just going to literally go through the application with you and be like, hey, is this correct? Is your address correct? Is your email correct? Is this correct? Blah, blah, blah. They're just going to walk you through all of that information. And you're just going to say, yep, yep, yep. Oh, I missed that one. Let me do that right, or whatever. So it's super easy to go through. And then during that appointment, they will fingerprint you as well as take your lovely picture. So be ready to say cheese when you go into that appointment, but it is super simple. And for me, in my experience, that is when I had to pay the $78. So you'll pay that at the time of your appointment. And so that is super easy. Now, when it comes to setting up the appointment, that is when the second step starts on the website. You'll be able to look through different locations in your area. So say you need to find one close to home, or if you want to find one that's near your work and be able to go say on a lunch break or closer to that, then you can definitely look around and find a location in your area that works best for you in setting up that appointment. So again, really, really easy. Now when it comes to waiting to get your KTN number or your known traveler number, it can take just a few days or it can take up to 60 days. Now obviously all of that depends on your application and everything and going through and how busy they are with approving applications. For me personally, in my experience, I had mine in less than 5 business days. And so it was really nice and really easy, especially with the fact that I had a trip within the 30 days that I started my application process. I had read online that it can again take up to 60 days to like get that number back and everything gets approved. So if you have a trip coming up, I would definitely err on the side of caution and try to lean more towards that 60-day window. But if you don't have that time, you can definitely kind of play the lottery of the TSA PreCheck application process and go ahead and submit that. Just get it started as soon as possible. That way you can have it all squared away in time for your trip. If you already have flights booked for an upcoming vacation, then all you can do once you have your known traveler number, all you need to do is log into the website for your airline and be able to add it. That way you can go into your ticket and should be able to add that process, or you can even simply call the airline and get them to add it. And if you haven't booked anything yet and you're just waiting on your KTN number before you want to book your travel, or you have travel that is coming up in the future instead, you could just hold on to that KTN number, and then when you're purchasing your tickets, there is a little field for you to enter that in. It's usually near like a rewards number and everything else that you're kind of entering in for like any points that you get for your flights. It's kind of in that area typically. Just enter your known traveler number then. And then once it's time to get your boarding pass, whether it's digital or if you get it at the kiosks or a station there at the airport check-in desk, then it will have that number printed on there. So PreCheck will know and they'll see it on your application when you go up to that, and it's super, super easy. And then another thing that is absolutely great about TSA PreCheck for families, and I mentioned this earlier, but it's that anyone under the age of 12 can use your PreCheck. Now your spouse will have to have their own, so say you're a couple and you're traveling together, each one of you will need your own TSA PreCheck, so you'll each have to go through the application process and pay the $78 and everything like that. But if you're traveling with your little kids and they're under 12, it is just so valuable to be able to move through the airport security and not have to worry about taking everything out. And it just makes that whole kind of stressful process, and you feel like it's like herding cattle basically, and it's just like you don't know what to do, and you have all these people telling you shoes off, shoes on, jacket off, you forgot your watch, you forgot your belt, and all these different things. It just gets to feeling really, really stressful, and you get to feeling anxious, and people are behind you and they're like, hurry up, and you're given those looks like, oh, can you hurry up with your kids? And like, it's a whole thing. If you've been through the airport security, you know, like the frenzy basically that turns into like this frantic feeling that you get of trying to go through airport security. This really eliminates so much of that. So it is great for families. If you, again, have little ones under 12, they are good to go with your PreCheck. You don't have to add them in any way. They just walk through with you, and it is the simplest process ever. Now when it comes to the physical line for TSA PreCheck with families, some airports, not all, here in Nashville where I am from, I do not have this luxury, but other airports do. So you have the standard TSA PreCheck line. How many times can I say TSA PreCheck in this video? A lot apparently, but you would go through that line as a standard adult, and then the separate line is for families with say strollers or young kids, or even if you have a family member in a wheelchair, it is a special lane for those that need extra assistance basically. And so it moves you through in a different lane and can be super easy to find. So it's usually there nearby of the regular line, so you're not having to go to the like opposite end of security or something for the most part. But it's really, really helpful, and they are so understanding and easy to work with those. When it comes to taking your stroller through security, you can definitely leave your kids in the stroller until you get all of your bags set up on the like conveyor belt and everything, and you're ready to take them out. That way they're not like running around all crazy. Personally, we are a gate check stroller family. We just prefer that. I love to keep my kids contained and in their stroller and all buckled in, so I don't have to worry about them like running off from me while I am doing what I need to do of taking any bags off and doing that whole thing. And it just makes it a lot easier. Now with TSA PreCheck, you will still need to take your children out of the stroller and be able to walk through the little metal detector with them, and they will wand the stroller down and like pat it down to make sure you're not smuggling anything through. So that is still going to happen like the same way it does in a regular security line. Now when it comes to what you put in your bags, the same rules apply. So liquids are still that 3-1-1 rule, and anything if you're taking kids' foods through, it's still the same. If you're having to travel with milk for your little one or even breast milk, water, anything like that, that you have to have special water for your baby's formula. All of those limits still apply in TSA PreCheck that do to your standard TSA. You don't get any special perks. You don't get to take 4 ounces through instead of 3.4 ounces when it comes to your liquids, that sort of thing. So no perks or anything when it comes to that, but it is definitely an easier process. You're not having to take things out. When it comes to though taking your liquids through, we took water through. I would have typically dumped it out and just got fresh water, but say you're somebody that you need special water for your baby's formula or you're traveling with breast milk, they are still going to need to test that liquid. So you will need to kind of set that out and distinguish that, hey, this has so-and-so in it, whatever it is, kind of declare what you're carrying through, and they're going to let you know, hey, I do need to check this. And all they're going to do is literally twist open the lid, and they will, a lot of times they'll have you hold it instead of laying it on a table somewhere. They'll just stand there right in front of you, let you hold that, and then they will have this little swab, and they'll basically just hold it over the cup and to just test any fumes or anything coming out of it to make sure it's not dangerous or explosive or whatever. So they're just going to test that, and then you will be able to screw the lid back onto the container that your liquid is in, and then you'll move through just fine. But that has kind of been the experience for us. They did that with my girls' water cups, and it's simple. It does take an extra second or two for them to come over and do that, but they're going to test your liquids whether you're in the TSA PreCheck line or if you're in the standard TSA line. So that is about the same, but getting through so much faster and all of the other benefits outweigh going through that regular line. So this feels weird to say, but I feel like with TSA PreCheck, it's almost more of a relaxing process going through airport security. I know that sounds weird, like coming out of my mouth, but with TSA PreCheck and little kids and traveling as a family, it just makes this whole frenzy of a process so much simpler, so much easier. You're not having to get things out, and it just, yeah, highly worth it. Even if you were just traveling, in my opinion, just once a year, it is definitely worth the money to spend to be able to have that flexibility of going through that line and it being so much of an easier process. It gets you to your gate faster. You can do those needed potty breaks and everything in between that you have to do with traveling with little kids and toddlers and babies. So cannot recommend that enough. But if you have any further questions that I maybe didn't answer in today's video, be sure to drop them in the comment section below, and I'll try to do the best I can to get back and answer those. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to click the thumbs up button down below, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, you guys.